George here.
From Bears on Wheels, and we're here today to give you a review of
Or talk about our love affair with
the Weehoo trailer. So this is the Weehoo Turbo trailer. You could find it on their website. Some of the specifics with this trailer is that it does include the rear panniers over the wheels. It also includes the cup or bottle holder on the side, as well as on the other side, a pocket for snacks. Additionally, this model of the Weehoo trailer allows children to pedal. So if you have a young tot, an up-and-coming biker who wants to be more engaged with biking, we found that this is a great option for them to keep them motivated while on the trail, but still being safe and secure in a trailer.
Let's start at the beginning, how we ended up with the Weehoo. We started prior to that with a couple different other options, one of which being the rear seat.
Yep.
And then we even tried out some traditional trailers, the two-wheeled side-by-side type of setup that you're usually most familiar with seeing out there in the market. And then we finally, through some research and I think maybe some other videos we saw.
I think we might have watched one other video. There wasn't much available for us when we were looking for the Weehoo.
Yep. Then we ended up finding one on Facebook Marketplace and looked at it. It was in great shape. Doesn't seem like a person ever used it, which I think a lot of times is the case. And that started our whole journey with it. So here we are.
We're at least 2.5 years in, maybe a little bit more. Sawyer's about 3.5 now, so it's probably 3 years that he's been in the Weehoo.
Easily, I mean, easily logged over 1,000 miles with the trailer, and probably countless others that we just our brain hurts to think about it. This is just I think a great long-term review that as far as how it held up.
Yep.
And
how it works, the ease
Yep.
of utilizing it, and even from, I can't give Sawyer's perspective. He's 3.5, but I think from a mom's perspective of watching him and his reactions in the trailer, how it's worked for the rider themselves.
Yeah, and we just got done with a trip. What is it? 2 weeks ago?
About
today?
2 weeks. Yep.
355 miles. One trip.
Over the course of 9 days.
Yep, link in the description. That just kind of puts us, I think, in a great spot to just give you an overall that it is, we're not just talking about, which it certainly applies, is, a ride in the park or a half an hour ride or a 1 hour ride, that this is just, how will it work for you if you decided to do a longer trip with it.
This was 9 consistent days of Sawyer being in the Weehoo behind us for hours on end sometimes. And it was an experience with gear, additional weight, different terrains, cityscapes, etc.
Yep. And not only the mileage from that trip, but just the total mileage. And we've had 0 mechanical issues. As far as
are you even allowed to say that out loud? We can't say these things out loud.
No.
Knock on wood.
The attachment to the bike, naturally, I spend a little bit of in full disclosure, quite a bit of time making it look as
he's always
presentable as it looks today. But we've had some wear and tear issues as far as with the materials and things like that, just because of the amount of hours and mileage that's on it. But we've had no mechanical issues whatsoever.
So for this review, I wanted to start with some of the things that really set the Weehoo apart from other trailers on the market right now.
And we think it makes it the best choice out there.
Absolutely. So first of all is the way that the Weehoo tracks. The Weehoo connects to the bike behind, actually underneath my seat post. And with this bar and being one wheel instead of the traditional 2-wheel trailers, not only is it very narrow, but it follows my bike seamlessly. So when I'm going over rough terrain, maybe through something narrow, some of these rail trails particularly have stanchions that you have to move through. It follows me, and I never really worry what's going on behind or that I'm going to clip the trailer on anything that we're passing. It also makes it great if you are on rough terrain because this one wheel doesn't give such a bouncy ride. Now, Sawyer will let me know if it is bumpy, but for the most part, this handles bumps, lumps, road issues very, very well. In addition to the tracking, this trailer is completely open air. And when I say that, if you're familiar with a traditional two-wheel trailer, the child or children are kind of enclosed in that space. Whereas with this model trailer, Sawyer is essentially riding a bike with us.
He's with us, and we'll show you in the videos. He's part of the whole experience.
You know, George and River can ride up along next to him and
Share
interact with him.
flowers.
He feels like he's part of this, and I think that's a really big thing for a very young child, is that being part of this not only creates good memories for them that they want to continue this experience, but it just keeps them engaged so you don't have whining or child upset. But I know that the
Traveling
bikes,
playpen.
absolutely, the bikes that connect, I think they're called Gators or something like that. That was an option we did consider as Sawyer got a little bit older. But what I can say is, having a 3-year-old, he's still napping, and he could do that here. Whereas if he was on one of the tow behind bikes, he cannot nap. He would end up falling off.
And he's eating, talking to
Snacking,
stuffies,
carrying toys. Yep.
all kinds of stuff, not just napping.
So one of the other highlights that we've really come across, and it was very apparent to us on the Gap Trail, River moved in front of my wheel. It was completely an accident. So even
Yeah,
if
and this is just a good point that to bring up, that it's probably not going to be your fault, just like Julie's about to go there, but accidents inevitably are going to happen to us all. And if you're going to, as a family, move large distances on bikes, you're going to fall. It's just a part of life. We think that this is one of the biggest strengths of the trailer, what Julie's about to go over, because it's unfortunately, it's going to happen.
so River she was trying to avoid something on the left side of the road and had moved in front of me. Her rear wheel clipped my front wheel. And unfortunately, it took my bike and the trailer down. So I came down to on my left side, and when I fell, the trailer fell with the bike. That's important.
Almost as a unit.
That's important because having such a long, rigid item fall together, not only do I think it reduced impact for Sawyer, but the bars here, the way he's seated and clipped into that 5-point harness, he has the chest clip as well as the clip down at his waist and hips there, but it kept him snug enough and contained enough that when he fell.
And these handles we found through that crash and another one aren't just handles. It definitely it creates a cage here. You know what I mean? This took the brunt of the impact, instead of your child.
So it protected him. I mean, he did not, aside from like the side of his arm actually touching the gravel, he was not pinned under the trailer. He did not make impact with the ground. His head did not make impact with the ground. And as a mom, that's the biggest concern, right? Safety. I'm putting my baby in this thing that I'm going to tow behind me. You worry. So the fact that we weren't going at high speeds, etc., helped, but this trailer really did its job. It protected my child.
Yeah, and that's a good point to bring up too, as well. The whole tracking thing, which separates this trailer from another that Julie went over, um, just how it handles terrain and everything else. It isn't so much the difference between a two-wheel trailer, that's just a different setup than this. It's we were talking about it earlier, and it's an important point to stress as well. There isn't just with trailers, it isn't just a difference between one wheel or two wheel, or it's a little bit wider and I need to, move over a little bit on a rail trail or something like that. If you're going to get into multi-day trips as a family, or even just overnights as a family, you're going to end up in scenarios inevitably where you're in city traffic, whether it be because you wanted to be or because you were detoured. You're just going to end up on a sidewalk. You're going to end up in a lot of different scenarios where that extra width in the back that is wider than you in the front it's going to be a major
It
issue,
is.
and it's going to be a really big safety concern. And with this, other than the fact that she has to think about she's a little bit longer than she is, biking alone, getting through intersections or getting started or something like that. She doesn't ever think about the trailer other than that, whether we're on a pedaling next to traffic,
Correct. Rail trails.
or in and out of gates or stanchions like she's saying, or even just you're gonna end up inevitably on a city sidewalk, whether you're pushing or slowly biking, and the thought that you're bowling down pedestrians that you just passed is just it's just not
frowned upon.
an option. um
It's true. And I want to say too, I'm 5'2", I'm about 125 pounds, and so I'm a smaller person, and I'm certainly not a well-trained athlete, right? Like, I am not um of extreme strength here. And for me to have a trailer behind me and pull it and track it seamlessly and never even think about it or feel like it's heavy, that's a big deal, especially when you are putting on long days or lots of miles. And I mean, when we did the Gap and C&O trails our last trip, we loaded this trailer. I mean,
yeah, we thought we were probably around between 50 and 60, maybe a little bit more.
depending on what I carried.
Yeah,
I
with
mean,
all of the weight.
Sawyer himself is, he's 32 pounds right now, and then water bottles and all the extras that we shoved in here. So, does it feel, can you feel it behind you when we're going uphill? Yeah, but that's going to happen with any trailer. It doesn't matter which one you're pulling. But for the most part, I've never had an issue where I felt burdened by the trailer and felt unsafe because of it.
Yeah, and I think we could go on and on with our lovey-dovey about the trailer. But that being said, so that's all our positives, which there are quite a few. Um, I think we should go over some negatives. And
Do we
bring.
have notes for that? Did we write those?
Well, I mean, there's some easy ones right off the bat. One of the first negatives, and we can't, just because they've been removed, show you what the originals were, and I don't even think I kept them, was the pedals. The original pedals that came with this were a major struggle bus for us.
Yeah.
Just did not work, as far as strapping
They had
Sawyer's feet in.
Velcro, and the Velcro straps were very, very long, and the Velcro didn't really meet at
Like
a space
Big
where,
foot could fit in the straps.
yeah, it wasn't designed specifically for a toddler's foot, right? So we would put him in the Velcro pedals, and basically they would just pop out, fall out. The straps would be dangling and flapping.
Yep. And that's with most bikes and things like that, I think the pedals are just a thing you kind of realize that you're probably going to have to change them out. So, anyways, we just switched to a cheap pedal that works way better, whether he uses, just the flat side or whether he uses the toe cage side, just to keep his little foot in there to start. That's kind of become, as your child grows older, they'll kind of decide what they're doing with their feet.
He used to just kind of rest his feet there or even rest them up on the bar by the fender, sometimes dangle his legs. He's now begun to utilize those pedals more as he's become more engaged with biking his own little pedal bike. So the light has gone on. I guess one of the next things to talk about, and we really noticed this on our last big trip, is
and
the
every
fender.
Other day that it wasn't
the fender. So whether it's mud that's getting splashed up or dust, your child will get dirty, unfortunately. So the fender is narrow, and it really doesn't cover a lot of what my rear wheel will throw at him.
And Weehoo has come out with, we've seen a larger fender, but
This
it's still
model,
not as large as the fender should be.
So all that dust being kicked up, Sawyer gets covered in dust. You'll find rocks and debris and dirt stuck in the crevices of the seat. If it's muddy, he'll look like we threw face paint on him. Unfortunate.
Yep.
Um,
Another negative would be this right here is an adjustment. So right here you have 1, 2, 3 holes, which makes your hoop itself a little taller or a little bit lower, depending on the bike. That's been another issue for us, and it's something to remember. If if the parent that the bike's being hooked up to is a small frame or an extra small frame, 27 5-inch wheel, type of setup like that, or smaller, you're going to have some issues connecting. We've learned a way to overcome it. We probably do a follow-up video on that. However, we would have liked to seen just a little bit more adjustment here for a greater range of compatibility with smaller bikes.
And finally, one thing we've really noticed and would love to see is a rear light mount. And this comes just to play in safety factors, right?
Yeah, it comes with a rear reflector, but we'd like to see just a physical post that would allow the gazillions of rear bike lights that you could attach.
And it would just make us as parents feel better if we felt like there was a flashing light on
And
the back.
We currently do put a flashing light on the back on these trips. However, it's just not. Just the frame is just not designed for that. So it's on an askew. Where we actually lost it.
We did
on
lose
the last
one.
trip
Yep.
because it's just not sitting in the mount correctly.
The pannier straps actually bump whatever you try to mount.
Yeah, it's just not a great
shift.
setup.
So with all the negatives behind us, I would just like to go over and reiterate why this trailer, the Weehoo Turbo, is so critical to us as a family enjoying cycling together. And it really just comes down to us being able to get out there and have fun. You know, as a parent, when we had our second child, and our kids have a little bit of a wider age gap, I thought this was it. We were going to have a lull. It was going to shut us down.
Yeah, done.
But, because River was at a point where she was ready to do bigger miles, and I had a baby. And
or doing things separately.
This has allowed us to continue to grow as a family and cycle and adventure as a family. We're not limited at all. Sawyer can sit here for, long rides. We can go those distances. And I think as a mom who really just values that lifestyle, it's the best thing. We could not ask for more out of the Weehoo, honestly.
Yeah, it's right now in our lives, it might be the most important piece of kit we have.
And that's saying a lot, because we could replace bikes with different bike brands. You could replace, there's so many options out there on the market for most of the gear you use for cycling. But I think when it comes to trailers or options to carry your child, there might be different options across brands as far as they all kind of do the same thing, have their own versions of each, but this is unique. This trailer, the way it connects, the way it follows and tracks, and everything we've touched on is unique to Weehoo.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
that's the end of the love affair video.
We'll follow up. Please like and subscribe so we can grow this channel and continue to offer you more videos like this. And if you've used a Weehoo, let us know your experience in the comments below.
Yeah, that'd be great. Maybe some share photos.
Absolutely. Or if you have questions.
Yep. And I guess we'll see you when we see you.